Alright, we should be live. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We actually got some hardware tech news, or at least an announcement. What up, what up, what up, what up? What up, Valscar? What up, Stang? What up, Tyrod? Sup, Kale? We got Craig Lilly in the house. Luke M. Silver, what's up? What up, JN? We got Unk Ken in the house. Hello. Okay, let me get some stuff pulled up. Yeah, so big news today, somewhat. I think they actually announced it yesterday. The 9050. So we'll take a look at it and see what. Actually, AMD officially announced, or they have like their product page up. So we'll take a look at that too. We'll compare it to the 9060 XT and all that fun stuff on top of whatever we normally do for the streams. I'm a little bright today. Okay, we should be good here. How's everybody doing? Oh, I was not able to get the video out last weekend because was still waiting on sponsor stuff, but there should be a video this coming weekend, which is gonna be a pretty fun video. It's a hardware revisit. Speaking of, it's actually a 4GB graphics card hardware revisit. So yeah, 4GB for a brand new graphics card in 2026. I just want one to play with it, but as we'll see in a bit, I'm not sure if it'll be available in the US market. So we'll take a look at all of that. But would you ever do a Q&A vid with all the LAN peeps? I actually would. Or I could incorporate it into the LAN video, which, speaking of LAN video, ooh, I really need to get working on that. After I get this next video out, it's because I have sponsor obligations and stuff, but I don't think I have any other sponsor video that I'm beholden to, so then I could get straight to working on the LAN vids. But, no, I just need questions. I would love to do a Q&A with the LAN group, where I do a session during the LAN. I just go around asking people stuff, but I need the questions. Maybe I need to put it in the Discord server, a channel for questions for LAN friends. But yeah, I actually want to do that and turn them into shorts as well. So yeah, if you have questions, let me know what they are. Let me see, maybe. Actually, let me see. So we go to the Discord server. Yeah, I can make a text channel. LAN questions for LAN crew. Private channel. Okay. I'll make it private for now. I'll finish this up, but I just wanted to make it. Where did they put it? Questions for LAN crew. Okay. Yeah. And then I'll set it up for we got plenty of time till the next LAN, so hopefully we get a lot of good questions and I can ask them. But yeah, I've been wanting to do something like that for a while, but it's just, you know, you get busy and the LAN videos already are so much work that there's a lot of things I have not done for the LAN videos that I've been wanting to do. But I think this question ones, I should be able to get it in the next one. You're on your way to work an OT shift tonight, Ken. More money, right? More money? What is on your list of things to purchase next, Ken? Or are you good with everything you have? You got some pretty nice monitors. You got a pretty sick system. Well, what is next for Ken? What up, Hazard Me? What up? What's up, Jensen? You're saying Jervin. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It's not Gervin, right? It should be Jervin. Vincenzo and Greg Piggum, I'll say hi again. I don't know if you remember them. Wait, was this your... the students at your school? I think that was it, right? I believe you're the person who was talking about giving a shout out to the students that watch my content at your school, but I may be wrong about that. Your friends from class, there it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, tell them what's up. Hello. What up, poor player? The Rodin Hitman. I had an ASRock motherboard fail with AM5. Should I sell the RMA when it arrives or use it? It's up to you. I personally don't have any gripes with ASRock. If you feel like it's a low quality board, like, have you looked up this motherboard, the specific model, and seen if anyone have had like, if there's a lot of reports of failures and stuff like that and problems? If not, it might just have been a one-off unit. Any product, even good reputable products, expensive ones, anything has the potential to fail. That's just, that's just life. That's statistics for you. But unless a product has like overwhelmingly negative reviews or overwhelmingly negative reception on like Reddit and YouTube and things like that, like, are there videos of other people that people made saying, hey, I had the same motherboard and it died? If that's not the case, I would just use the motherboard without knowing the specific board or being able to look it up. I think it might have just been bad luck, because I think selling it is going to be, it would mean that you're going to lose money, because you're likely not going to be able to make as much money as you originally spent on it. Usually selling anything results in a little bit of loss, right? Because no one's going to buy it from you for the same amount they can buy it from Amazon or Newegg for. So I would say keep it. The thing is, if it has a problem again, I guess the biggest downside is that you have downtime, I would assume, or do you have a second system? If you have a second system and a motherboard dying on you isn't the end of the world, I would ride out the second board because I think it should be fine. But if now you're just hesitant with ASRock altogether and it would put you in more peace of mind, then I guess you could sell it and take a little bit of a loss. But it's really up to you. Me personally, if I RMA'd something, I don't think that the whole product line is like problematic. I think it was a one-off. It's Ty Rod's birthday tomorrow. Got it. Well, happy early birthday, because the stream won't be going on for tomorrow. But yeah, happy early birthday. What up, Rolling Whales? Good morning. No, I don't reply to the Instagram DMs. Easiest way to catch me usually is on the Discord server. I don't do DMs usually just because that opens up like, way too many people trying to message me for private one-on-one consultation or help. I like the Discord server because if I'm able to help or chime in, I can. If not, other knowledgeable people can also help. So, yeah. But it depends on what your question is. What up, Grimlong? Sup. Shalom, it's me, Ebu. Ebu? Have you considered stopping the land bids just because how much work they are? All the time! I consider stopping them all the time. The only thing is, though, I know I would regret it if I did stop the LAN videos. I enjoy watching the LAN videos over again. Not because I'm like, sniffing my own fart and like, oh, these are great videos. Because, I recorded and edited it. I enjoy watching them again because, over time, as we get older, we just forget things. It's a good way to reminisce. Even though it was only 10 years ago, the first LAN party video happened, right? Even then, rewatching it reminds me of things that I have forgotten since then. And even I get to relive the moments in between LANs watching my own LAN videos, which sounds kind of sad when I say it out loud, but no, it's like every time I rewatch the LAN videos, I always catch like little things being said in the background, or like things that, like, even though my camera's not focused on it, it, like, you always catch different things the second or third time you watch it through. So no, yeah, I considered stopping it, and then I realized, like, there's no way. Like, not after I've opened up this Pandora's box to seeing, like, how awesome it is to create these videos. I know that I would regret it if I stopped it, so. Computers and electronics in general are incredibly reliable. Yes, they are. The very high success rate across, you know, pretty much all the companies, I would say. I know people have, like, their companies that they hate, like Gigabyte kind of gets a lot of flack, especially their power supplies. They're still riding on that bad reputation from their exploding power supplies, which was really only one specific model from their lineup. And that was when you loaded it to, like, I forgot what it was in the Gamers Nexus video. Then they loaded it to like 150% or something. But like in most real world use cases, it would not have really been a problem. But then now Gigabyte PSUs, people just say they're crap without even like considering, you know, it's been years since that. And obviously they fixed and patched that, the problem. And I feel like when companies mess up like that, it's a lesson learned that they apply moving forward, and at the end of the day, it's almost like a good thing that it makes their products that much better, because, like, I'm willing to bet Gigabyte is not going to let something like that happen again, specifically with power supplies. Now, their most recent problem is them using very soft thermal paste that, like, kind of goops and, like, slips through the components. And I'm sure they're going to learn a lesson from that and improve on that moving forward too. So, as unfortunate as it is for the customers who get these crappy products, I think the companies, they have to learn from it. Otherwise, they're not going to be around for long. So, hey Danny, who would you recommend for a 7800 XT that needs the memory chip? Wait, who would I recommend? The card starts artifacting. Do you need the memory chips reballed? Oh, that sounds expensive. I don't know. I mean, there's Northwest Repair. What are all the, let's bring it up. The issue is, I think those types of jobs at the end of the day, it's going to end up costing you like 150 to 200. Like both way shipping and for the services itself. But I don't know, reach out to them. So there's Northwest Repair. There are other, so there's Northwest Repair who does stuff like this. Contact me on Discord, email me, and follow the instructions all made by reply. So it doesn't hurt to reach out and see what the quote would be. Let's see, GPU repair channel. I think most of these GPU repair channels, they do offer solution, or they offer their services. What was the other one? Northridge Fix. Yeah. Northridge Fix is another one. Need help with the device repair. We service customers. So the reason I'm choosing YouTubers is because they show their work. And I think sometimes they do. Does Northwest Repair or Northridge Fix do it? So they don't live stream it. But sometimes they make your card into a video and you can see how the repair was done. And I think for the fact that these people are so public facing, and not only do they have the business, but they put their business out there on the internet, I think this is like showing transparency. Now, I don't know if this means that they get so many requests that their quote is going to be way more expensive than if you were to go to some, you know, independent shop that it doesn't have a YouTube channel, right? But I would start with Northridge Fix and Northwest Repair. Contact them, see how much they quote you for getting that fixed. But I'm thinking it's no less than $100. But with my limited knowledge, I'm thinking just because this is such a specialty thing, you know, it requires specialty knowledge and specialty tools. That means their rate per hour is gonna be like more, right? I'm thinking it's closer to 150 to 200 bucks. But contact them and let me know. Let me know what they get back to you with. What's up, Vinny boy? Yo. This is your first stream. Wait, really? Your not only your screen name and your profile pic look somewhat familiar, but Vin or Vinny is a somewhat common name. That there might have been another one that have been in the stream before. But what's up? What's up, Vince? Hello, Rudo Jin. You're just north. Okay, so you're up in BC. Nice. Do I collect Pokemon cards? I don't, but I don't anymore. So I played Pokemon. I collected Pokemon cards back in like 1999 or whenever they came out. Base set, Fossil, and Jungle. I stopped after that. And then I got into Yu-Gi-Oh in middle school. But my brother, I believe, still has all of our binders of Pokemon cards. I might be able to get him to... Well, technically it's both ours, but he's been holding on to them. What's up? What's up? They ate right before they went down. I fed them chicken and rice. Yeah, I didn't feel like making quesadillas. Hi, girls. Yeah, so we have binders full of Pokemon cards, like, you know, tons of holographics and first editions and stuff that's probably worth a lot of money. My brother keeps hold of it just because he's more responsible than me, and he's more organized, but technically half of those cards are mine. We have talked about potentially sending them in to get graded and slabbed over the years, but it just seems like really expensive, and I don't know. I know Pokemon card grading and all that stuff is a thing that people do, but how do you know they're not gonna switch your like pristine PSA 10 first edition Charizard with something different? Like, how do you mark your card without ruining or damaging it to know that that is your card and that they aren't gonna screw it up? Also, I've seen stuff about like employees like purposefully grading cards lower, or employees grading other cards higher. Like, I don't know, man. It just seems too risky, and I have trust issues, so I don't know how people are like, if someone had a perfect condition first edition base set Charizard, which if it grades a 10 is worth like millions apparently, right? How could you have the confidence to send that in some kind of like package to some company and trust that they will grade it and send it back to you without something going wrong in the process? Even if you insure it, just because you insure a package doesn't mean it's not going to be a pain in the ass for you to like get your actual insurance payout if something goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I pay for insurance when I ship PCs and stuff like that, but I know if something goes wrong, it's going to be a pain. Like, the whole process is going to be a pain. So, Rudo Jin says, sorry, we got a little bit off track. We're just chilling right now, but we do got to get into the main topic of the video because it's already been 18 minutes. But Rudo Jin says, the title just reiterate, AMD never fails to miss. We're going to get into that because there is 2 versions being made, but not both of them. Well, they're actually right now only supposedly available to certain markets, and the 4GB version might not even be available to consumers. So we'll get into that. It's all in the articles, but yeah. I wanted to send some LAN fan art digitally. Oh yeah, either or. You can email it to me. Email should be down in the description, or it's nob.nerdonabudget@gmail.com. Or you can put it in the Discord if you want others to see. Up to you. I'm trying to dump my Pokemon cards now. Oh, you're trying to dump them while it's still hot? I don't know if they're ever going to go away. I guess they really hit super peak strides at pandemic, and that it's been like 6 years. 5 or 6 years. I feel like is not going away. Pokemon, I think that Pokemon is going to stand the test of time, and so that means like older nostalgic Pokemon items like old cards. I think it's going to stand the test of time. Yeah, I'm sure there were people who thought Pokemon was gonna die out or was a fad or something back in the late 90s when it first came out. And look at it now. It's like even more popular and making them more money than ever. It's just one of those things. Yes, I did see it was in a different language, Roland. I did, yeah. The LAN videos are why you're here, Ruto-Gen. Thank you. Well, I appreciate your support on those. Okay, let me see. Let me skip through. Yeah, it's a Nova Wi-Fi. Apparently lots of issue with 9000 series. With that board, if that's the case, and it makes you feel better to sell it and get a different board, you should go ahead and do that. Maybe on the second board, try to pick up an Amazon resale one so that you don't lose money in it. The RTX 5050 is a display adapter for Ray Trace Solitaire. Only when the 9050 would have a market is if it's PCI slot only for power or sub $200 cards. We're about to see the pricing of it. I don't think it's gonna be a sub $200 card. Okay. Danny, there's a saying that something like it. There's a saying that there's something like it takes one mistake to damage all your reputation. That's very true. Though I will say, we've seen multiple companies get the go through these PR nightmares, and like Gigabyte, NZXT, Asus. Eventually, people forget. So you damage your reputation. I don't know if their actual bottom line gets that affected. Online, it seems like it, because that's like the most vocal, constantly online people. But that doesn't represent the general consumer who probably didn't even know about the Gigabyte exploding PSUs, or like the NZXT, what is it, the H1 case fire. Like, a lot of people aren't chronically online and don't follow tech news this closely, so I don't know if they're affected. But all right, we got a $5 super chat. Let me see. What do you think about the new 5K and 6K 165 hertz monitors out now and upcoming? Well, what do I think about these, bro? I myself am barely on a, how many hertz is this? I forget already. Let me take a look. It's because so I just somewhat recently started using a 4K monitor, but I forget how many. Okay, it's 160 hertz, but then it goes up to 320 when you turn on the 1080p mode. But 5K, 6K, what's the pixel density difference like? Let's take a look. 4K versus 5K versus 6K pixel density image. I just want to see, because where's the overlay? Here it is. Okay, the resolution comparison chart. What the heck is all this crap? Wondershare. Okay, so let me open the image in a new tab. Okay, so I can zoom in. So, oh my god, Wondershare. Why are you? I swear I have an ad block. I have uBlock Origin right now. Why are these ads popping up? So, going from 1080p to 4K, it's pretty huge difference, right? Literally, 4 times the pixel density. You can fit 4 of these 1080p squares in 4K. Now, going from 4K to 5K, okay, that's a decent, I mean, if you were to look at it like size, but I'm looking at this to scale pixel count. And then from 4K to 6K, okay. I don't know. As someone who's still fresh to 4K, and I know these 5K, 6K, and you said how much? 8K 120 hertz? Yeah, so 8K is going to be the crazy one, right? Because that one is nearly, let me see, 81. It's not really exactly 4Ks. Oh no, that's UHD 8K versus just 8K. Interesting. But that's the one that is 4Ks plopped into it. What are my thoughts on these monitors coming out? I think they're very expensive, and unless you have money to burn, I think it's like a diminishing return on the enjoyment that they would bring the average person, right? I don't know who has these eagle eyes that would want that much more pixels than 4K. But you gotta also be someone who has the money to spend on it. I think it's awesome that these companies are pushing the boundaries of like display technology and, you know, resolution and things like that. For the average consumer though, I think we're going to be waiting quite a long time for those to reach affordable levels. Just because again, unless you have the money to spend and you are like that much of a pixel snob that like, oh, 4K is not enough, I need it to be sharper. I think it's for a very small segment of the market. 4K to 6K looks to be double. Yeah, like if you were to multiply the width and height pixel wise and then look at the pixel count. But I don't know. Are any of you guys on 4K and are like, dang, this looks blurry. I want 5 or 6K or even 8K. I can tell once it's at 1440p or 4K. I can't tell. They look the same. Yeah. The human eye can't see more than 48 hertz. Truer words have never been spoken. One mistake is costly, but people are kind of dumb and selfish and NPCs and normies. They find something else to focus on. That's one way to put it. Monitors are bad deals. Get a good large TV or projector. Projectors don't... Dude, projectors, good ones, means you got to sit in the dark. And they're really expensive if you're going to use them with lights turned on or with daylight. You could get a large TV. I mean, TVs... High quality TVs are pretty expensive as well. But TVs, like the buttons on them, they're made for specific use cases. I don't know if, I mean, do any of you out there use a TV for your main monitor? Also, what size is it? The thing about TVs is that once you start getting smaller in size, you start reaching like budget, like think about 32 inch or maybe even a 42 inch TV. Today, that's considered a budget TV. I guess I haven't been in the market for 32-inch TVs in a long time. I don't think I would want larger than a 32-inch display on my desk. So that's why I'm using 32 as an example. But do they make like high-end OLED, high refresh rate 32-inch TVs? And if so, what is the price difference versus a 32-inch monitor from whichever company with the same specs? I wouldn't imagine the TV... If it's actually spec for spec, like comparable, I wouldn't expect it to be that much cheaper. The human eye literally can't see more than about 6K. I feel like the goalpost might keep on moving. Like, they probably said that at 4K at some point. They might have said that at like 1440p. It's like, what can the human eye see with regards to refresh rate, and has that goalpost been moved over the years as we keep on pumping out these ridiculous monitors that are now up to like what, 720 hertz or something? I tried 4K for a week, returned it, and got 1440p. Why is that? Is it because all the font and stuff was tiny, like the scaling? When I hopped onto 4K, I definitely had to turn up the scaling on everything, like the text as well as the like UI on Windows and stuff like that. So yeah, 4K, if you just let it run native at 100% scale, 100% text scale, everything is like really tiny for the most part. If like I'm using it on a 27-inch display, so maybe, yes, maybe each generation, because we're playing more and more video games and having more and more screen time, it's being baked into like our actual, we are evolving, right? So each time we have kids and they have kids and they have kids and we have more and more screen time, our eyes are adapting. Even though we're gonna have to wear glasses because everyone's eyes seem to be messed up these days. But okay. Let's talk about these new 9050 graphics card, which is so official that it is on AMD's official website. AMD Radeon RX 9050. Find retailers. Oh, Acer, Azeroth. Actually, give me 1 second. North America, Canada, Are they actually gonna have? No, it just took me to a generic page. Never mind. But okay. So this is how their you know, their official product page for the 9050 right here. They don't specify 4 or 8 gigs, but they do say up to 8 gigs. We'll see in a second here. But my goodness, this is the benchmark we're using. Like this is the resolution and quality preset that they decided to promote this card. We're talking 1080p medium settings, which it can reach 60 FPS in 007 First Light, 60 FPS in Cyberpunk, 85 Pragmata, 131 in Forza Horizon 6. Forza Horizon 6, not Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon 6, I need to get, but I'm too cheap to right now. But if it's like anything like Forza Horizon 5, that's a really optimized game, and it runs well on low-end hardware. Counter-Strike, Call of Duty. Okay, so all these games, it can run at over 60 FPS, except it seems like the hardest one to run is 007 First Light. Anyone play that, by the way? That game is just like, I care, like, literally zero about it. But, okay, let's see. So, additional power connector. It's interesting that it says 1x8 pin, which someone brought it up in the comments earlier, that this would have its use case and its niche if they had models that don't have any external power cables required. I don't know if AMD usually marks things like this, but if they had in parentheses optional so that the AIB could decide if they wanted to do, you know, a 75 watt or below version that's powered through PCI Express, then I think that, because I think small form factor builders and, like, you know, people who are building these systems that they need it to be powered through the PCI Express slot, they will still buy stuff like this. But if it's required 1x8, then what's the point? You could just buy the 6600 XT or something similar for probably less money and have the same power connector and be a better card. But so 16 compute units, boost frequencies, up to all this. They don't have a compare side by side, do they? So, typical board power. So 92 watts requires a 450 watt power supply. So array accelerators and AI accelerators. Do people even care about this stuff on a card this week? Let's take a look at max memory size. So interesting way that they worded here. Max memory size instead of just memory size, which would mean it would only be the 8 GB model. And it seems like they're really trying not to say that there is a 4 GB model available, because they didn't mark it up here, and down here they said max memory size 8 gigs. It's like, who are they trying to trick here? So it's GDDR6 128-bit bus. Okay, let's see what else we got here. AV1, yes, okay. All right, let's take a look at some of the articles to see if there's actually any leaks here. Just get the 9060 XT 16 gigs. Yeah, but that card's going for how much now? Let's go Newegg because Amazon kind of sucks. That card's like, isn't that like 400 something right now? 16 gigabyte. 469, nice. So the cheapest 16 gig 9060 XT, brand new, right here, yes, 450. We'll talk about the price because they think they have a leaked price, but you can't just tell someone to just get this other card when it costs like 1.5 to almost double the cost, right? There's always going to be a market for like $200-ish card, maybe $250 and below cards. It's just that these companies need to actually deliver with the performance and specs. Like I love $250 or under $300 cards. I'm about to release a video on the 1650 Super revisit, and that card, my goodness, I am so impressed given that 7 years ago it came out at $160 and it only has 4 gigs of VRAM. But when I retested it recently, it kind of killed it. So I don't mind these cards, but these companies like the 1650 came out at 150 bucks MSRP, brand new, and the 1650 Super came out at 160 bucks, brand new. Now the lowest end entry level cards, if this leak is true, let me look at the Tweaktown article. Some of these they leaked, or they think they know what the entry level. Oh, here it is. So a lot of these new tech news outlets, they're reporting that the MSRP, at least for the 8GB 9050, is gonna be $279. So nearly $300 for 8 gigs. That would probably put the 4 gig version at like $250, maybe $225 to $250, somewhere in that range. There's no point in buying that if you're okay with the used market, because the eBay, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp is flooded with 6600 XTs and 3060s, and 3060 Ti's, 3070s even for like 250 to 300 bucks, which is they're gonna be for sure better cards than this at 280. So let me see if Tech Power Up put the specs on so I can compare. They must have. They're always on top of it. Okay, 9050 specs. Can I do a compare? Where is the compare? Is there no side-by-side compare? I might just have to go back and... Okay. They actually think... Okay, so let's look at Tech Power Up. I don't know where they... This is the 4GB version too. Did they put the 8GB here? It must not be too far up. Huh. I don't know where they would have gotten these numbers. Maybe this is just their best guess. But if this is true, and it's around the performance of the 5600 XT, which is about a $120 to $140 card, a 1070 Ti, which is like $100-ish to $120 card, a 1080, which is for sure goes like $140 or less, 5700, which is around $140, and you got a card. I don't know how much the 4 gig is going to be, but let's assume like 220 even, 225. What are we even doing here? Yeah, if it's going to come around the performance of a 1070, assuming this is true, I feel like Tech Power Up is... Like, they probably put this ranking based on the known specs. The release date's going to be July 28th. Well, that's when it was announced. But in terms of when we can buy it, when is this? Video card, wall card, 9050 is not a gaming card, just walk away. I mean, let me see if AMD puts any wordage. I mean, it's not a gaming card, though AMD is showing performance. They're only showing performance on the official product page relative to games. It's not like they're showing Blender numbers or, you know, or anything else. So let me see. AMD Announces RX 9050. Where is the actual reveal itself? Because I'm only seeing it from the eyes of these articles where like AMD reveals AMD's first new graphics. Okay, where did this news break? AMD has officially announced. Did they even like put out a press release or like a newsletter, or did they just silently activate this product page and that was their announcement? Let me look at the AMD's official website's news, resources and support. Doesn't look like it. Solutions, no. Products. They don't even have like a news press release. Okay, here we go. So here's some press release stuff. AMD and Anthropic, of course. AMD end-to-end AI innovation, of course. AMD x Microsoft, long-term strategic partnership. AI solutions, awesome AMD, very awesome. Explore more AI solutions, cool, cool, cool. AI portfolio, yeah. Oh yeah, we love to see this, right? Where is the newsroom? Here we go. That's what I was looking for. So the newsroom, July 23rd. Okay, July 29th. Where was this thing even announced? July 23rd. I don't know if they even actually announced it. They just flipped the product page on. That's it. If the 9050 is better than my 6GB 5600 XT, it's a win in my mind. I'm telling you. It's only a win if the card is priced correctly. It's a loss. It doesn't matter if it's better than your 90 RX 5600 XT. It is, what matters is for the same amount of money. So let's just say $280. What else could you buy? Which I think you could buy a lot. For that same amount of money. Unfortunately, not brand new, because AMD and Nvidia just hates giving us options that are actually viable at $300 or less. Like, you've got the 5050 and now this card. But everybody knows, actually, you might be able to buy RX 7600. RX 7600s are like 200 and so $300. Right here, 280. That's used. So $299. This is gonna be a better card for sure, for like $10 more or whatever, right? Used 3080s. I think they kind of went up in price because like the 3080s are still workhorses. I think people realize the value of them. Let me see what a used 3080 is going on eBay right now. Even like those Dell Alienware models. RTX 3080. What is the cheapest 3080 that we can get? Buy it now. You can get them for $350, $340 plus 25 shipping. Yeah, see, these were like $300. I mean, by this point, we're talking about like over a year ago. But they went back up in price, even for 10 gigabyte versions and light hash rate versions, which I guess nobody cares about because who's still mining on cards now. But $350. So for the same price, this is, I mean, $50 is still a decent amount more money, but these are still very solid cards. Like for $350, I'm trying to think what else you can get. Maybe you can get a 7800 XT. And it'll be pretty comparable, maybe even a little bit better, but yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, off the top of my head. Yeah, I don't even think you can't get 4070s for this cheap, unfortunately. 4070s are still, they retain their value quite a bit. But yeah, the prices seem to be around $350, $360. Lots of models. Some of them are parts only, so we ignore those. But yeah, with, you know, good seller reviews and reputation and stuff. I have seen 3080 for around $350 or $400. Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing here. That's about how much they're worth. Okay, let me see. Let me go back to, let's see what The Verge has to say about this. ASRock's Radeon RX 9050 is the first modern GPU in years to include only 4 gigs of VRAM. So, first modern GPU with 4 gigabytes of VRAM, as RAM prices and component shortages push tech prices higher. Digital Foundry actually reports. So Verge is reporting on the Digital Foundry report, listing for the 4 gig version of this card on ASRock's website by a user on X. Let's take a look. Oh, it's gone. Looks like it got taken down as soon as they realized they oopsied. But some, of course, there's these people who like just scrape all these websites to look for leaks and releases and stuff like that. And let's see if I can find the 8 gig model. So the 8 gig page comes up. What the heck? Translate! Translate for me. Where's the translate? Continue reading with advertising. Okay. Here's the side-by-side. So half the compute units, yes, that's what someone said earlier in the chat. It's half of a 9060 XT. So half FP32 FPs, ray tracing cores half, boost clocks slower, half texture units. Don't know about the ROPs. or L2 cache. GDDR6, okay. Memory throughput, okay, not too bad there. All 128-bit. PCI 5. So 9060 XT was 150 to 160 watts, and this is gonna be, it said 92 earlier. So here's the big thing, the availability. So we're talking about this now, but I don't know. I would assume most of the viewers are in the States, just because I run this stream during the time where it makes the most sense if you live in the United States to watch. Every time someone like clocks in from Europe or Asia, it's like 1 a.m. or something. But oh, I guess in Latin America that that time zone would still apply to here. But availability. So multiple outlets are reporting that this is going to be in the Asian market, in Latin American market. I kind of really want to play with one. As bad as this card is supposed to be, I like playing with bad hardware. And you're going to see it in the video this coming weekend. But for me, it is more fun to see what you have to do to make games run on less capable hardware than to just play with, you know, modern good hardware. There's no mystery or surprise with modern mid-range components. It just works. A Ryzen 5, an i5 from current gen, a RTX 5000 series card that's, you know, 5060 or above, or a RX 9000 series card. It just works. But now there's going to be an RX 9000 series card that has questionable specs, and I just want to play with it just to see how low you have to turn settings, how much upscaling you have to use, if you have to turn the resolution down. Apparently, they're saying medium 1080p, but we can't always trust these numbers, and it's always more fun to go in and play with it yourself. If I could get my hands on one of these, I think I would. It'd be a huge waste of money, but I think it'd be fun to mess around with. I would never recommend this to anybody, by the way. I would say take your money, go on eBay, or go in your local market and spend and grab something that's like, you know, a 3070 or something. You can patch FSR 4 and Intel multi-frame generation in many titles with the B580. Speaking of which, let's do a price check on the B580. Last time we checked, it wasn't so good. Last time we checked the B580, 309, 310 is the cheapest. So let's go to the, let's go to the Tech Power Up chart. Did they actually just put this card at half of a 9060 XT? Let me see if I can find it. 9060 XT. Oh my god, they did. That's how they determined it. They didn't do it exactly, but they did it around it. So on Tech Power Up's hierarchy of cards, which is mostly cards that they have benchmarks and tested to put together the order of this list. But if you look at the 9060 XT 8GB, 206% of the 9050 XT. So I'm thinking they did some kind of scaling here, just to put this as a placeholder until they can get actual numbers, because I don't believe anyone has actual tested this yet, at least publicly. Okay, that's pretty funny. But if we want to look at where the B580 sits on this list, B580 is up here at 161% of the performance. At $310 versus $280, that's about a 10% price increase. It's like 12% or something like that. 12% more expensive, but you get 60% more performance. So unless you really don't want an Intel graphics card, yeah, like this card, I don't know if it makes sense. All right, let's see what people have to say. I haven't been reading chat for a while. 4GB 9050, no thanks. 8GB might be fine for me. Yeah, so what are they thinking? Are they not reading? Like, do they need to hire people? They need to hire me. I wonder what the pushback is when they decided to release this product or announce it, and they said, let's make a 4GB version too. There must have been at least one other person at the company that said, oh, no, that's a bad idea. Don't release the 4GB version. I wonder what the ratio of people who were pushing for it versus people pushing against it is. Also, I would love for someone, whoever's interviewing Lisa Su next, ask her the question, why did you just release in the big 2026 a 4GB brand new graphics card? And see how she squirms her way around that answer. Just because, like, I think the answer would have something to do with, oh, you know how memory prices are so bad that we just wanted to offer something to the consumers that might make sense for their specific use case or something like BS like that. But still, I just want to hear it from their mouths and see if they have the shame or not. Maybe for people who only play retro and indie games. Hey, what's up, HD? Z. Even then, just buy last gen's cards that aren't as crappy. We just pulled up. So another thing we have to consider is I don't know what the pricing in the like Asian and Latin American markets are. They said $279, which if it was released here in the US at $279, it would be a horrible deal considering other options we still have. We can't buy RX 6600 brand new anymore, right? Just checking just to make sure. Yeah, basically you can't. These are third-party sellers that are marking the price up ridiculously. Yeah, here's refurbished ones. Horrible deals. But yeah, like you can pick this one up. Actually, so this is from Hong Kong. Who's the seller? Yeah, RoboShine. So, horrible deal. Don't get it. But we saw the 7600. Like, even if this is meant for people who only play retro and indie games at that price, you pretty much can get this card, which is going to be worlds better. Like, just keep making these. Stop wasting resources on a 4GB card that's only $10 or $20 less than this in the current gen. And I understand, yes, with the new architecture, it's gonna be, you know, more FSR latest version compliant or compatible, and it's going to have a little bit of AI capability, I guess, and better ray tracing, but still. Maybe 150 makes sense, but at 200 plus it's terrible. Yeah. Where's the... So here's WCCF text article, AMD. Yeah, everyone's reporting 279, but it's... If it doesn't hit the US market, then we're gonna have to see. And they're thinking that, yeah, see, a lot of people, or a lot of these outlets are also reporting there's no plans to sell the 4GB version of the 9050. It's gonna go straight to OEMs so that OEMs can screw people over. Because, you know, OEMs sell pre-builts. And the people who buy pre-builts are generally people who aren't as aware, usually. They're gonna see 9050. They've done this time and time again. Like, they're gonna see 9050, and they're probably not gonna specify if it's a 4 or 8 gig version, and then the consumer gets screwed over because they don't know the difference. But yeah, let's see what else people have to say. GPU slop and shitification of GPUs. Personal computer market has been complete garbage. It hasn't been the best, I will admit. But if you take the time to inform yourself, then, or if you hit up your buddy who has taken the time to inform themselves, then it could be worked around, right? Like, you can still put together decent systems, of course, using secondhand parts, because new stuff is just too expensive. And the memory and storage is so expensive. But if you have a guy like me, I'm that guy for a lot of people in my life. You could get a computer put together for a somewhat reasonable price if you're okay with some used stuff. Some new stuff is perfectly fine, like CPU prices and performance, they've been fine. Motherboards, they've been fine. Cases have been awesome. Power supplies haven't been an issue. Coolers, right? It's mainly just anything that has memory integrated into it, such as system memory, SSDs, or graphics cards. So they don't care about gamers anymore, well, until the AI bubble pops. I saw a Yahoo article. Let's pull it up. It's a win for us. Yahoo AI, Micron stock price drop. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Micron SK Hynix stocks sink as AI chip sell-off deepens. Semiconductor stocks fell on Tuesday, which was just yesterday, with the PHLX semiconductor index falling more than 3%. Now, I don't watch these markets closely, so 3%, I don't know, like, is that super newsworthy, or is this like about as much as they swing either direction, right? U.S. listed shares of memory and storage leaders Micron Technology and SK Hynix tumbled more than 8%. That sounds like a decent amount. I wonder if it recovered. Today's the 29th. Okay, so it looks like it has not recovered based on this chart. So I'm sure lots of people are cheering on anytime these companies take this big of a hit in their stock prices. SanDisk dropped 13%. Did SanDisk do something that was anti-consumer? Did they leave the consumer market in any way with their products? I don't recall. This seems to be a growing trend with these companies, so it's hard to keep track of. But among the semiconductor equipment makers, ASML, Applied Materials, and Lam Research also dropped, okay? AI chip heavyweight NVIDIA stock reversed early morning losses to climb into green territory. Fall of 5%. Peer AMD fell more than 7%. Chipmaker Intel, okay, those slid. The sell-off followed the declines in semiconductor stocks abroad. In South Korea, SK Hynix fell more than 14%. Okay, so we were talking about like AI bubble and stuff, right? These drops, I don't think are indication of a bubble popping anytime soon. Overall, trend-wise, I think this is what we as gamers and just like PC enthusiasts want to see. But I don't know if this is an indicator that it's going to just all of a sudden pop and it's gonna, like, you know, drop off a cliff. Gamers Nexus made a great video on how AI is losing over 38 billion a year or something like that. Was that like a really recent video within the last week? I have not seen that, if that was the case. But yeah, all these companies, I mean, I think they're dumping all the money into it, and right now they're okay with burning money, but at some point you're not gonna be able to continue that rate of burn, right? So yeah, keep on letting them burn money while we use their tools to generate slop images and to ask them random questions that we could have Googled. And Sam Altman and the AI companies just massively overinvested. I was watching a video that was going over why they were investing so heavily in AI. It's because, like, I think I forgot what video it was. It was a pretty cool, insightful video. But like, companies are basically done innovating. We've done everything, guys. Sorry, it's over, right? Everything that could be done. Every new product that could be made, every service, it's already been done. Like, there's no more, like, you know, there's not going to be any more frontiers of achievement in that category. So that's why everyone pivoted to AI, because that's the next thing that could continue to give them growth and accelerated growth, and to bring in money, supposedly, even though they're also burning it at the same rate. But they're projecting it will pay off, and I can kind of see that. If you look at anything that, like, take any company, like a phone company, right? I feel like phones, aside from minor spec bumps and like camera bumps and stuff like that, phones have not been really innovative in years. And yeah, they're doing flip phones and fold phones and all that kind of stuff, but that's like, in the grand scheme of things, pretty minor, and only some companies are even doing that. I think all these companies were so used to years and years of every single year they're able to announce a new product or a new thing that people get super excited and hyped about. And now that they can't keep that trajectory up, it's the curve is definitely flattening over and things are just kind of remaining the same. So AI was that next big thing that could change things up. But I don't know. I guess in this stream chat, most people probably are anti-AI, and if not anti-AI, like pretty against what these big corporations are doing in terms of like heavily investing in it, like trading money around to each other, laundering it essentially, and screwing over consumers, right? I think we can agree most people are not for that. But like, how much AI do you guys use day to day? I use it when, like, so when I do my videos, I write my scripts, I have it look through it to see if it can find, you know, like basically proofread and condense or clarify or make things more clear. But that's not like something I'm constantly using every day. I'll do like an AI prompt maybe like once every few days for that. And then when I Google search, it automatically gives me AI results even though I'm not looking for it. But me personally, I don't rely on AI too much on my day-to-day right now. Use AI for everything. The only cool AI to me is local AI that can run on a device. AI is the new product, but you can only invest so much into something before eventually it will burst, just like it did other bubbles in the past. I mean, everyone's kind of cheering on the speed run to this bubble bursting. So, Apple's new iPhone Fold with the new AI Siri will definitely change the game. Will that be local? Are phone chips powerful enough now, and do they have like dedicated AI cores to be able to do things locally, or is it all still reliant on the cloud for AI in phones? Some local, okay. It'll all end up in an AI loop as AIs create content and AI scrapes the content it made. It'll loop and degrade. I'm sure someone has made a video that said, they probably prompted it to make some kind of AI video and then told another AI to use that as a reference to make another AI video. Remember, what was the thing? Like, people have made these videos where they would upload a video to YouTube, download it, re-upload it like 10 times, and then it becomes potato quality. You can do the same with AI, where you tell it to make a video, then tell it to use that as a reference to make a new video, and do that like 10 times. And it's like a game of telephone of how crappy it gets and how much it changes each time down the line. I think that'll be entertaining to watch, but the use of resources is unfortunate. I love AI. I was born in a data center. Did you have a plug coming out of your head? And did Morpheus eventually try to come save you? But then you took what pill was it? Was it the red pill, right? You took the red pill? When the system is trained, they will fire all employees. I'm just kind of curious if that happens in my lifetime, which I probably have another, hopefully 50 years to go. I'm just so curious what that's going to look like. How much of these futuristic dystopian movies is going to come true as the tech and AI progresses? And are people going to have an uprising against the machines because they're going to take all of our jobs? AI for language translation, okay, you got me, but I ain't paying for it. You pay for it via them scraping all your data and selling it to brokers and stuff like that. There's a new company that is making an AI that will work on the phone. Okay. AI is not going to burst. There's government contracts and banks backing it. Stop spreading misinformation. You're right. You're right. When the top leaders of the most powerful countries in the world are actively backing it and supporting it, it is really going to be really hard for it to fail. What up, Wakia? Hi, Danny Lee. Hello, hello. No budget. Thoughts on the oh man, the flock cameras. So I saw. Okay, you guys know there was like a shooting in Seattle this past weekend. Kind of crazy too, because we're gonna transition a bit because we already talked about the graphics cards and now we're talking about AI and flock cameras and stuff like that. But I was just reading through the news articles and YouTube videos, and I was reading the comments and stuff like that, and Reddit. So, but there was a shooting in Seattle at a food festival that we have, Bite of Seattle, which is crazy because my wife and I have been going to that pretty much every single year. Like I think since we started dating. But there was a shooting and a couple of people died. People were hospitalized, but where it happened, there were no cameras. And this is crazy too because this event, this Bite of Seattle, is huge. Literally every single day for the 3-day week, or 3 days of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's like thousands of people there, like so many people. That like, so there's a lot of like security and there's police and stuff like that. But for the people to like, at least one or two of them potentially getting away and only one 15-year-old being in custody, it's crazy. Like, how do you even shoot each other and then somehow get out of there without other people seeing and trying to turn you in? Well, probably because everyone's running and scared. They don't want to deal with the gunmen, but also all the police on the scene. Like, how do you evade it? But anyways, getting back to it. So I was reading through and they were saying they don't have footage of it because they just don't have footage of it. And in the comments of the Reddit thread, people who were for flock cameras were like, see, this is what the mayor gets for disabling the flock cameras. And I was like, in this situation, having, mass surveillance would have been helpful. But is it worth giving up our, basically our rights so that one-off situations like this, you can catch the criminal better, or you know what I'm saying? And I'm still on the side of no, but there were people in the comments who were so like adamantly for these flock cameras and things like that, and for like this overall Big Brother surveillance watching over us at any given point in time, that they were like using this situation as a way to cheer on, like, see, we need these flock cameras and AI surveillance. So my thoughts on it, what are my thoughts on the use of it? I'm not a fan of it, obviously. People make the argument that like, just don't break the law and you'll be fine. Wasn't there cases of these cameras misidentifying people and like innocent people were arrested and put in jail because the AI camera thought they were a different person? I could have sworn within the last week I read an article about that. But like, that is what happens. Similarly, with these government agencies going around trying to find like illegal immigrants, and they end up arresting US citizens and like, mistreating them, beating up on them, shooting civilians. Like, what are we even doing here? This isn't meant to be political, but all this kind of goes back. Dude, we can't avoid politics. All of this eventually goes back to politics. USA having 20% of the world's prison population ain't enough. The police showed how they have been trained in Uvalde. Yeah. That is the collateral damage. Not worth the cost. Nobody deserves their liberties if they're willing to give up their freedom. You will never have anything but an illusion of security while you lose all your rights. Yeah, so it seems like everybody in this chat is at least on the same page on that. But it's weird because when you go online, you see these like really extremist point of views or like these extreme people that you really wonder like what are they like in real life? Because the thing about the internet is it gives the people the ability to be anonymous behind the guise of the internet and the keyboard, and they're able to speak their minds wholeheartedly, but also it makes you question like these are the people that stand among us when we go out to school, to grocery shopping and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, literally got an AI ad midstream. They're listening. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no. Don't look like someone who is a criminal. Who gets to judge who looks like a criminal? I know what the racist people are going to say, but for non-racist and normal people, what is the definition of someone who looks like a criminal? Is there a quiz we could take where it shows pictures of random people in different clothing and different skin tones, and we can click criminal or not? And would we be able to pass that test? I don't know how anyone can interact with public-facing AI and think AI surveillance is a good thing. I think these people drink a lot of the Kool-Aid. The pre-internet days, the world seemed so huge, problems seem so far away, and now we're aware of all the problems and some made-up ones. Yeah, lots of misinformation going on too. Why would you care if you have nothing to hide? Well, how about you remove the curtains and blinds from your house if you have nothing to hide? Exactly. How about you release all them Epstein files? How about you at least arrest one person in connection to it? Cameras don't reduce crimes because you have to have have shame in your society for them to work like that. That you guys are bringing up amazing points. It isn't political, it is a personal privacy. There are lots of incidents where law enforcement were using flock surveillance to stalk people. Yeah, I don't know. When the people in charge of keeping like the peace are the ones who are doing these malicious things, who is to hold them accountable? Hey Danny, are you that cold? Here in Ontario, Canada, it's 32°C, hot as hell, lol. Yeah, so crazy thing is it's a bright, what's the temperature today? The temperature right now, it is 69 degrees. Nice outside right now, sunny. But because we run AC in our house and because I'm in the basement doesn't get the same heat from like the windows and stuff like that. So like down here, it stays cool. And when we run the AC, it makes it actually cold in the summer. So that's why I'm constantly wearing a hoodie on the streams. No matter the season, I usually wear a hoodie. But yeah, it is pretty nice warm weather in Washington in general. It's just cold down here. Type of stuff that would have been used against Reckless Ben. Yeah, I've been following the Bricks and Minifigs Reckless Ben saga. Definitely seems like a lot of like police corruption going on there, as well as obviously the corruption with Bricks and Minifigs and potentially within the Mormon church. But we're gonna have to wait and see if everything, how everything falls. It seems like such a big national, like, what's it called? Case that there's no way they're gonna get Bricks and Minifigs and the police department is gonna get away with it, right? You would think that, but we're gonna have to wait and see. I don't know if it's just because like we're being PC enthusiasts and being chronically online. Like maybe the average person probably doesn't know about the Bricks and Minifigs Reckless Ben situation, I would assume. But I have been watching many of the videos that's come out. I've been watching the videos of lawyers reacting to the videos and stuff like that. So it seems like, you know, textbook corruption, but they're probably going to get away with it, unfortunately. Ask AI who looks like a criminal. Let's do it. Who? Oh, wait. I can't. Can I do it on here? I forget. Maybe I have to do Gemini. There's no reliable way to tell who looks like a criminal based on appearance alone. People often make snap judgments based on factors like clothing, tattoos, facial expressions, age, race, socioeconomic cues, but those impressions are not reliable. Yo, is this based ChatGPT? Is ChatGPT being pretty woke right now? Research in psychology has shown that people can be confident in these judgments while still being wrong, and such assumptions can reinforce harmful stereotypes. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yo, AI. I wasn't expecting that. LMAO pre-baked answer. Let's see what Gemini says. Let's see what Gemini says. Who looks like a criminal? Ooh, Gemini's taking a little bit longer to think. The short answer is no one specifically and anyone potentially. Aww. Nobody and everyone at the same time. There's no physical appearance, facial feature, dress style, or a demographic that indicates whether someone is a criminal. Criminality is defined entirely by actions and choices, not by physical traits. However, the idea that criminals look a certain way has a long history in pseudoscience, psychology, and pop culture. The debunked science of criminal appearance. In the 19th century, an Italian criminologist named Cesare Lombroso introduced a theory of anthropological criminology or physiognomy. Physiognomy. How do you say this word? I feel so dumb. I think I'm breaking it up wrong. Physiognomy. Physiognomy? That's not physiognomy, is it? I think that's physiognomy. I'm so stupid. Physiognomy. Wow. That GN really messed me up. Anyways, he claimed the criminals were evolutionary throwbacks who could be identified by physical atavistic stigmata. Why are you trying to throw these big words? Stigmata, that's that horror movie, isn't it? Asymmetrical facial features, prominent jaw bones and brows. Okay. Why do we think some people look suspicious? Even though physical traits don't predict crime, humans naturally form quick judgments about faces based on evolutionary psychology and societal conditioning. Hey, societal conditioning, that's a big one. But yeah, hey, AI gave pretty based answers. Well, isn't Gemini quite the philosopher? It is sad how there are laws against making... Dude, there's laws against, you know, rape and... what's it called? Pedophilia and child abuse and stuff. But, you know, the highest ranking people in the country, I think, are guilty or guilty by association due to protecting their rich buddies who take part in those activities, but they're getting away with it. So yeah, I don't know. It is getting such attention with how terrible Reckless Ben was treated, how blatant the cops were by it. Yeah, but again, I mean, how long has the saga been going for? Like 3 months now, right? When it goes to court, this is one of those things where I feel like they're just going to try to draw it out and make it as long-winded as possible so that the public forgets about it and moves on. Hopefully we don't, but even I'm known to like read something in the news and think, oh my god, that's crazy, that's ridiculous, and then forget about it like 2 months later, because we keep raising the bar for ridiculousness in this country that you get overwhelmed by it and then you get numb to it. Pizzaology, in that case, pineapple goes on pizza, says Heavy Metal Technology. Pineapple does not go on pizza. Wrong. if you want pineapple on pizza, we're not sharing the same pizza. We're getting 2 separate pizzas. I have no idea who Reckless Ben is. Yeah, it's we're not gonna get into it, but look up Reckless Ben, look up Bricks and Minifigs, and the story behind it. If you want content to watch, and you have all the time in the world, there you can watch for days. You can get caught up on this case. But basically, Reckless Ben himself is just a YouTuber who's trying to shine light on a situation that had happened of a company that allegedly stole Lego collection from a family worth, the value keeps changing, but anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000, and they tried to get away with it, and now they're trying to cover it up. And I think that's the CEO, right? If that's not, I forget. I confuse the CEO versus like because there's 2 of the guys, and they're both white dudes and no ratio, but like I confused the 2, okay? But yeah, just look this up. I don't know. Again, see, even someone like KO has never heard of Reckless Ben in this story. So is it just because some of us are more chronically online? I got mad at stealing Legos from a family. Yeah, no, look into it, and you're gonna see like, holy crap, this is potentially levels of corruption. No pineapple in my calzone. Hey, I just want to know your opinion on me upgrading from a RTX 3060 12GB to a 5070. That's huge. That is a great upgrade. You have a 5600X B550M motherboard and 32 gigs of RAM. You'll probably run into some situations where you'll get some bottlenecking from that 5600X. But if you're playing at like AAA games at ultra settings, 1440p or 4K, I think your 5070 will be equally choked. So you can balance the load. Just play at the right settings and resolution, and you can make that 5070 work without killing your 5600X too much. And by that, I mean that's balancing the bottleneck, right? I think we can all agree that pineapple does not belong in a calzone. Pineapple, so I'm gonna be honest here. I'm just not a pineapple fan in general, even outside of pizza. And I think I've mentioned this before. I don't eat pineapple like as a fruit usually. I don't choose to eat pineapple. When I go to the store and I buy fruit, it's usually not pineapple. If there's a big fruit tray at a party I'm at, I usually don't pick at the pineapple. It's just not my favorite food. It's kind of like the sourness and just the overall flavor profile. So that's the reason I think I personally don't like it. I'm trying to think, have I ever had like a flatbread pizza with like apple or any other kind of fruit on it? I think most other fruits, I might actually be okay with it on pizza, just not pineapple. It's too sweet and like tangy and sour for me. Even if you get the sweet pineapple, still. Try it grilled. Dates are pretty common on flatbreads. Yeah, pineapple is only good dried, period. Pineapple doesn't belong anywhere other than by itself. Exactly, the body cam footage is very telling. Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, if you guys don't know about the Reckless Ben Bricks and Minifigs Lego collection saga, just Google it or YouTube it and just watch like a couple of videos, and then you will be convinced. I will say though that even though I am very much on the side of Reckless Ben, I think there were some holes in his reporting, or some things he did not report in the most factual way that kind of could be used against him. I think overall, Bricks and Minifigs, they did screw over this family and try to steal the Legos and all that kind of stuff, and they're trying to cover up. They're for sure evil, but I think Reckless Ben, because he's not an actual journalist and he's a YouTuber and he's making also on top of, like, he's doing entertainment mixed in, I think some of his tactics, I think with something like this, You just have to be completely honest and report it as is, and not try to kind of like stretch some facts, or and do kind of stuff like that. Because if you watch like the CoffeeZilla reporting of it, CoffeeZilla does poke holes in Reckless Ben's coverage as well a little bit. So it's one of those things where, like, yes, we know this big megacorp is a bad guy, but if you're gonna take them down, report on it 100% factually and truthfully, not 99% factually and truthfully, if that makes sense. But sorry for anyone who doesn't care about Reckless Ben. We can move on now. Pineapple is my favorite fruit. Grapes is a close second. All right, what y'all? Okay, we're talking about fruits now, guys. What's your guys' favorite fruits? Mine's mango, easily. Didn't even have to think about it. Mango. Okay, what? That is not so. There we go. Ooh, especially when you slice it and cube it up like this and pop it inside out. Yeah, number one. If I had to think of a number two favorite fruit, though, I think grapes might actually be up there. I like a lot of fruits. Like apples, love them. Pears, love them. But favorites? Strawberries, pretty good too. I don't think strawberries would be anywhere near the top for me, though. Mango, yeah, I think it has to be grapes. Well, let me see what your guys is. Yeah, CoffeeZilla had the most thorough coverage for sure, as per usual. And that's the thing, though. Like, Reckless Ben was the one that was on the ground with the first-person view cameras and stuff like that. He has the most footage and knowledge. I think, like, he should have done his due diligence a little bit better. Mango and tahini, exactly. Some mango nada. Did I spell that right? Yeah. Oh, dude, my wife loves this. Like, every time we're driving by and there's like one of those Mexican fruit stands, or anytime we go any place that has chamoy and tahini and mangoes and whatever this stick candy thing is called, yeah, that's her jam. Yes, and she also loves the Mexican, what's it called? Mexican Gushers chamoy tahini. Where they do this with a lot of different candies. Yeah, they take like Gushers and Skittles or whatever, and then they mix it with the same chamoy and tahini and stuff like that. And they make these like, oh, these are so good. Every time we go to some kind of like farmer's market around us, we see the stands that have these, and my wife frequently buys them. They probably not the healthiest thing for you, it's high fructose corn syrup, Gushers and stuff. But my goodness, the mixture of that, the Mexican seasonings on it, so good. Also, Mexican street corn. If we're gonna talk about like these types of flavor profiles and stuff like that, Mexican street corn, delicious. I see that you are down with the Mexican snacks. Yes, I am. That's why I brought up the street corn before you even mentioned it. I love it. Though it's kind of expensive. Like, around here, if you were to find a place that had it, I think it's like $6 or $7. You could definitely make it for cheaper at home, but I don't know why it's never as good as when they make it for you. Custard apples are awesome. Frozen grapes. I'm not too much of a fan of frozen grapes because the texture, I feel like it goes weird. But you know what my favorite thing is? When you go to Costco or any grocery market, I guess. But for some reason, Costco, when they got the crispy, crunchy grapes, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you bite into it and you feel that like snap because it's so firm and round. Yeah, that is my issue with grapes is that they soften way too fast. So when you buy grapes, you got to eat it in like a day or two, because otherwise it starts to shrivel. And as soon as it starts doing that, it goes from my second favorite fruit to like pretty low on the list. When I say I like grapes, I like them fresh and like snappy. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? I wish I had a grape to show you guys with the mic. Like when you bite into it, it just has that crisp snap. In terms of what kind of grapes, I'm down for pretty much all the different strains, I guess you call it. Like the greens, the red grapes, cotton candies, all of them, I'm cool with it. So long as they're nice and firm. I didn't move to the Southwest for the food, but it's the main reason I stayed. Nice. I love frozen mangoes from Costco. Those are great for smoothies. Yeah, because mangoes are also one of those things. They're like, depending on if you like them like more green or red and ripened, like you have a pretty small window to eat them. So the frozen ones are nice if you're going to keep them on hand for like smoothies and mixing them into like yogurts or whatever. Costco and Arizona iced tea are fighting for its life. Haven't increased price due to inflation ever. Costco totally has. I know you're talking about the hot dog combo, and maybe even did the rotisserie chicken ever go up in price? It did, didn't it? I think around me it's like $6 now. It used to be $5. But I agree with you. The hot dog not changing price, awesome. Membership price I think has been the same for years too. It's always been like $50 for the base one. I have noticed inflation on Costco baked goods though. Like remember the muffins? Remember how many muffins you used to be able to get for $6? You used to get 2 6-pack trays of giant muffins. Now they redid their muffins where it's like 1 clamshell plastic container of 8 muffins for the same price. So Costco has increased their prices on some of their pretty well-known like products that they've always had. But yes, their membership price and the what's it called? The hot dog drink combo has always did the same. I think pizza has always been like $1.99 as well, as far as I can remember too. So I was sad when I found out that bananas pureed with berries stripped some of the berry nutrients. I didn't even know that. Is that some kind of chemical reaction? Yeah, because banana berry smoothies are like pretty good. I don't drink wine. I don't drink in general. Not that I never drink, but I very rarely drink, and I definitely don't drink wine. I don't know if it's feasible for the average person to turn grapes into wine. Wouldn't you need more tools for that? Okay, Low Life says, Nerd budget, do you think the 9050 XT 4GB could ever replace something like the NVIDIA T400 4GB in the enterprise market? Maybe. How much? Okay, let me look up the. I guess what use case does the T400 even have? Let's see. It's for compact workstations. See, what year did this come out though? So TU117, that's the same as the 1650. But did it come out in 2019 as well? Let me see. What year did this come out? Oh, 2021. Okay, so this actually came out 2 years after the fact. 2 years after the 1650 and 1650 Super, but uses the same TU117 die. Oh, here it is. Yeah, they even mentioned it here. So, and what was the did they even have a listed MSRP if it's enterprise only? I guess they don't. But could it replace it? I don't think so. I think enterprise market, they're pretty brand like reliant or loyal, if you want to call it that. Like, I think if a company, and what did they say this was used for? Let me go back to it. Used for a compact workstations handling multi-display setups and basic professional apps. I guess it depends on what the professional app is and what the actual workstation is used for. I don't know. I just feel like both NVIDIA and for workstation specifically, I think both NVIDIA and Intel just kind of have kind of like a tight hold over the market share, and companies, they don't really look at the different brands like we do as consumers and enthusiasts. For them, it's like, hey, we've been using Intel or NVIDIA in our workstations for this long. Let's just keep using it. It's like, I think they would rather look for an NVIDIA alternative than to go for something like the 9050 XT 4 gig, which I'm curious. We've seen NVIDIA and AMD do this thing over and over where, actually, what's the 5050? Like, they could just get an RTX 5050, can't they? But I guess if you need it low profile, etc. What, do they have a low profile 5050? Let me see. So they do have a low profile one without a power connector, I'm assuming. But what I'm saying is, like, and this one comes in at 250. So supposedly the 8GB 9050. Oh wait, you said XT. Did you mean XT or did you mean 9050? Because the 9050 that we're talking about from the thumbnail and title of this stream is non-XT. But the 4GB version of the whichever card that exists, just based on the price of the 8GB 9050 that is allegedly supposed to be the price, supposedly the price, if that's gonna be 280, I don't think the 4GB version is gonna be that much cheaper. And if we're looking at the 5050 already starting at $250, they're gonna be competing with each other, and we know Nvidia most of the time wins when it comes to like when it comes to anything above consumer use, I guess. I did not mean XT. Okay, yeah. I can't wait for the RTX 4070, 5040 Ti Super. Yeah. It's about 100% accurate. It's about what is stable, not what is fast. Now, I don't know which card is more stable. NVIDIA has its fair share of graphics driver problems recently. But I think still, a lot of the customer base for this, they are the types that have been buying the same, like they've still been buying from Dell or whichever OEM for years with the same configs of like Intel NVIDIA combo. So yeah, I don't know if this 9050 4 gig is gonna do anything. In Decline says, no, but isn't it crazy how information is sold to companies and data scrapers, and we all signed up for Christian Mingo and Grindr for free? Hey, I admit I did sign up for what? Which dating apps did I sign up for? OkCupid. I did sign up for, what's the other one called? The fire one, Tinder, and then there was another one. I can't remember, but yeah, back in like right after I graduated from college, at which point you stop meeting new people when you're not on campus anymore and you're just working day to day, and none of your in the engineering field, like it's 5% women or like 10, it's very small percentage women. It's changing now though. There's more balance these days, but yeah, like you just don't meet new people. So if you're single, dating apps were great for that, but I've never signed up for a Christian Mingle because I'm not Christian, and Grindr has a specific preference, which is not what my preference is. But it was OkCupid, and I cannot think of what the other one that I mainly used was. But it's funny because kind of like Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, you would see the same profiles and people on both of them. So it's like, what was the point of having two? And it was kind of awkward if you didn't match with someone on one app, but then somehow you match with them on the other app. What were the popular? It wasn't eHarmony because I didn't use that because I think that one cost money back then. I don't know if they have a free tier now, but yeah. This is gonna kill me. I can't think of it. Tinder. No, Tinder back then when it first, actually Tinder now I think has more legitimacy to it. Back then, it was just a hookup app, but people still they did use it for dating too. But I think now it's more moved away from that hookup reputation to like trying to like, you know, people trying to find relationships. At least I think last I heard. I haven't been on a dating app for coming up on like 12 years, right? So I haven't needed it for like 12 years, but I met my wife just by going outside my house. What year was this though? You're older, HDZ. I think, especially nowadays, with how like the world just works, it is getting like increasingly harder to meet someone naturally at, like, let's say the supermarket or whatever, right? And plus, online dating has been around for like a long time, even like in the early 2000s and stuff. eHarmony's been around for so long. As someone who met my partner, who I now have this amazing, you know, awesome life with, and kids and stuff like that, I definitely am a proponent for online dating, just because it takes the guesswork out of it. You know how awkward it is trying to hit on people in the real world, only to later realize that they're taken or like not interested or whatever the heck? Like with online dating, you know, both people are there for the same reason, and it just, you know, you don't waste time. Not saying that I'm against meeting people naturally in the real world, but sometimes you don't have the best of luck, and I'd rather not be forever alone if there I could find some tool with, you know, the internet we have in front of us to help match me with other people who are like-minded looking for the same thing. I will still wait 10 years for a good robot. The father of the dude who married Miku Hatsune said that he is full of envy. What? I don't even know what that means. You're talking about the animated or the anime character Miku? The father of the dude. He is full. That sounds actually creepy. Like he wants to date his own daughter or something. What? I've never had much luck with dating websites. I'm a lot better in person. I did a mix of both. Even when I was on the online dating websites, wherever, like, the activity I was doing at the time was rock climbing, indoor rock climbing. So that was a good way to meet people. But again, it's still the same thing. Like you would like see someone like, oh, I'm interested in them, and then you befriend them, and then you find out they're not taken, and it's kind of like a weird vibe, right? So that's why that's why I think online dating is great for that. You remove that awkwardness of trying to hit on someone who's already taken, and then now it's like, well, did you only talk to them because you're interested in them, or were you trying to be friends with them? Because now, if your friendship started with the other thing originally, then, you know, it's kind of awkward, but you get over it. I've only met crazy people from the apps. One person peed in my bed and I didn't ask them to. Were there not signs prior to this? Like, you didn't go straight to the bed, right? The way that I always approach these dating websites is you do public meetups multiple times, like, you know, dinner dates, movie dates, whatever the heck dates. You don't bring them back home, and definitely don't let them sleep over to pee in your bed for like until you could vet them a little bit. But was there no signs prior to that? Rejection builds character. That is true. It does. But also, would you not agree that sometimes, like, meeting someone in the real world, not only does it take you having to meet that specific someone who not only has similar enough interest to you to spark a connection, but also they have to also be single. But not only that, add a layer on top of it, you also have to have cross paths with each other. Like, that's a lot of rolling the dice and hoping everything aligns in your favor, because you could have two of the three. You could have crossing paths with them and having sharing mutual interests, but they might not be single. Or they might be single and you cross paths with them, but you don't share mutual interests, right? It's just a lot has to line up for it to successfully work. So yeah, again, like I know a lot of people who have met their lifetime partners and they have kids with, and they have these, awesome lives and stuff like that. And they met their partners through online. So I don't know what the general perception of online dating is these days. I would imagine it's way better than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. 30 years ago would have been 1996. I don't think there must have been some kind of online dating in the early forms of the internet. Probably very archaic, but still. I don't take anyone home unless I know what I'm in for, and hooking up and dating are separate activities. That is true. That is true. Glad I don't have to worry about dating these days. Everything is about a scam or not what it looks like. Yeah. I think it's getting worse, especially with the way the economy is. You've read those stories probably about girls going on dates with guys just to get a free dinner. Like, that's a thing. Don't worry, it's not only online. 2 of my ex-wives that I met in the real world are also batshit crazy. Okay, so you're only one out of 3. So maybe if it was online, you would be 1 for 1. I'm okay with staying single if I don't meet someone I like. You all make it so hard. Some people just go to their family reunions. Okay. I don't know about that. I knew them from years earlier. I didn't realize she couldn't handle her booze and bladder. Once you take off their... What? Okay, let me see. This combo is killing me right now. Guys, how did we even get to this? This is what happens once we talk about what we need to talk about, and then I let go of the reins and let the chat dictate the direction we go. All right, let's bring it back in. Let's bring it back in. Graphics cards. Let's see. This has been a fun conversation, and viewership is pretty stable right now, so it seems like you guys are here for it. So right now I gotta end pretty on the dot around the 2-hour mark, so we have about 15 minutes left. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Any questions? Any PC related questions? Can we get back on topic? Or we can still go off the rails if you guys feel like it. Runs with chainsaw. Are we really talking about this? Wait, so you said you had a big crush on a second cousin. Is second cousin not blood related, or is that blood related? I don't know, like, cousin once removed, like, to me that's also confusing. I understand a family tree when it comes to like parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and in-laws and stuff, but like, what is a second cousin? Like the second cousins and then the once removed stuff, that's when I start not really understanding it, and I have to look it up every time. But also, I'm hoping they weren't blood related. If it was married in, then I kind of get it, just because you've never met this person before. Just because someone distant relative got married and they became part of the family through marriage, even though you're not blood related, like that could potentially happen to anyone. Your childhood crush, just because they get married into the family, that doesn't make it that, you never found them attractive. But I don't know what second cousin is, so I can't. It's far enough to where there are less likely, dude, there needs to be 0 chance of birth defects related to being part of the same DNA, not less likely. Okay, I'm looking this up, because second cousin. What is a second cousin? This makes me thankful. What's up, Neil? This makes me thankful I grew up in part of Mississippi where my family said, you best take your ass out of this area and bring someone back if you want to be with them. Being on the coast, man, law. Okay, a second cousin is a relative who shares the same great-grandparents. Oh, so it is blood. Yeah, That's, no. But don't share the same parents or grandparents. Okay, let's look at a chart. Like, how far is that away? So here's grandparents, here's parents. So great. No, here's a so great grandparents. So great aunt, uncle. So here's you. Here's your second cousin. Yeah, that's an. I mean, I'm surprised you were okay with sharing that, but I guess this is the internet. Uh, couples could do genetic screening to see if they're likely to have genetic abnormality. Yeah, we did that. And for us, it was a hearing thing, and I think that was about it for the girls. But their hearing seems fine, so I think we're in the clear for that. Ken, are you at work now? Are you listening to the stream while doing your job? Did you make it to work safely? How's the traffic? And are the like, did you have AC? I mean, there are complete strangers. Yeah, no. That's why I said birth defects due to being even somewhat related. Obviously, you got birth defects even being completely unrelated. But, yeah, even though it's less likely, nah. There are numerous second cousin marriages throughout my family tree and probably yours too. Yeah, I mean, I think back before this stuff was as traceable and before there was as good of record keeping and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure it was more common. But like now that we have the ability to avoid it, and with how many people there are in the world who aren't even that closely related to you, I think, at least for me, I would prefer not to procreate with a second cousin. For what it's worth, second cousins can marry in all 50 states. Interesting. So it's like a law versus societal norm versus like personal, preferences kind of thing. HDC. Okay. Neil. Yes. As bad as it sounds, the chance of cousins having kids with defects is actually way lower than you think. I am not defending this point. Yeah, I know. It's just facts, right? Yeah. In the US, it's legal to marry second cousins. How are we talking about this now? Okay, we really got to change the topic before the end of the stream. We cannot end on this note, guys. I'm so curious for the people who watch the VOD after the fact that cannot interact with chat. Like, let's say like someone goes to work and they want to put on like a podcast or something similar, and they put on this stream and they listen to it. The way the chat devolves to the topics that we get to, I'm curious what is going through people's minds. Hey, I tried this thing has a life of its own. Wait, best value GPU in my opinion right now. Best value GPU. Used or new. Saw this question earlier. Thought it was good. Best value GPU. Ooh, value. I think something around the 6800 XT, 6700 XT range. 3080s are crazy good value. See, 40 series, I don't know why. 40 series cards, I wish being one generation old would be cheaper than they are. Because I would love to be able to recommend like a 4070 and 4070 Super and 4070 Ti, but they're just still stupid expensive. So it's like the 2 generations back in the NVIDIA 30 series. I mean, across like 3060, 3060 Ti, 3070, 3070 Ti, 3080, 3080 Ti, all those cards I've seen for pretty good prices in the used market, and similar to that equivalent generation of AMD cards, RX 6000 series, and then some 7000 series cards. I think they're the best value used. For new, I mean, 9070 XT pretty much can't, like, it has gone up in price a little bit, but for the performance, it's pretty much the best you can get brand new. I don't think you can't really buy 7900 XTXs anymore. For NVIDIA side of things, it used to be, I mean, I thought the 5070 before the price increases were pretty decent value. 5070 Ti for sure, I think takes the cake for best value in RTX 50 series generation. But those have gone up stupid in price. Remember we used to see those for like 750 bucks on sale all the time. And now they're like 8 something. I don't even know how we got to the topic, Vanish. Honestly, I have no clue. You gotta go back in time on the timeline, but I don't know. We were talking about online dating, and then I think someone brought up. But the thing is, I don't know how we even got on the topic of online dating. But then we got into the topic of something about. I guess one of the benefits of online dating is that, or no, that would be a con, wouldn't it? Because you might not know that they're related to you versus in real life. I don't know. But yeah, that's how we got on it. Use 3070. Yeah, I've seen some $200 ones in my local market. They go pretty fast though. 250 is the spot where like you'll be able to find it and the deal will sit there for a bit for you to be able to pick up. I've seen some of the mid 7,000 AMD cards. Yeah, so 7800 XT. But the thing about the 7800 XT is that it is so close in performance with the 6800 XT that if you're looking at a dollar spent per performance you get, usually the 6800 XT will be cheaper solely for the fact of being one generation older. Though I forget if the 7800 XT had any uplift in ray tracing, but in terms of raster, they're like almost identical cards. And yeah, there's no reason to give them up for cheap because they weren't replaced with the current generation equivalent priced cards. So like people would be selling off RTX 3070s and 6700 XTs and 6800 XTs, which are right now going for around 250 to 300 bucks. If the $250 to $300 brand new graphics cards were the same performance or better, but they're not. They're giving us cards like the RTX 5050, which are just straight up worse. And now we have the 9050 4 and 8 gigabyte cards, which are also going to be worse. So that's why the value is being like held up for so long, because there's no equivalent price and performance card in the new market. Not even close. I guess the closest one would be the B580, but even then, that thing's closer to a 3060 Ti than it is a 3070. What GPU makes sense to upgrade from a 3060 12 gig to a PC with a 550 power supply? You can't upgrade because it's proprietary. Oof. 550 watt? I think it's a proprietary power supply. See, normally I think you could push a 550 watt power supply if it's a good unit. Let me look at RTX. Let's see if RTX 4070, for example. Tech power up. So 4070 technically would be okay with a 550 watt, right? So there are cards that, if it is a quality power supply, we're talking A or B tier, PSU tier list in terms of the components, then you could push it to its limits. And I wouldn't be worried about it at all. It's going to have the safeties and protections. And, you know, the rails are going to be able to deliver what they're supposed to deliver. And you could get a pretty power, like, look at this card. This, a 4070 over a 3060 12 gig. We're talking, where's the 3060 at? 3060, where you at? 3060 Ti. So look, you're talking about going from a almost double, right? From 52% to 100, these numbers can be a little off. Maybe a little bit less than double if we're going to be conservative. The issue is that unless you know your power supply is a really good quality proprietary one, which there are some, you're going to have to look it up, that specific one. I would assume it might not be a good one just because OEMs are known to cheap out, and it has a proprietary connector for the motherboard, I'm guessing, but it has a standard connector for the graphics card. See, I wouldn't risk a 4070, and if you can't get something like that, I don't know. I mean, technically, what's a 3070 require? A 3070 requires, or it doesn't require it. It recommends a 550, but then is it worth it to jump up from a 12 gig 3060 to 3070. The performance is for sure there. Like there is a decent uplift, but I usually tend not to do such small upgrades when upgrading at all. So I would say, do they make any kind of proprietary adapters? Like I know for some Dell Optiplexes or some Dell OEM systems that require a proprietary motherboard connector, they make 24-pin adapters that adapt to that proprietary connector. I would try to see if something like that exists and then upgrade your power supply so you can actually get a decent GPU upgrade. But other than that, I would just sit tight with the 3060 12 gig, because otherwise it's not worth it to be trapped into this power supply and be limited to what graphics card you can upgrade. I run a 3070 with the 5700X 3D on an EVGA 500BR. It's not, yeah, but it's not about what the typical power draw is. It's about how, well, in the EVGA 500BR, I haven't seen the testing on that, but it's about the excursions and like the different, you know, on the off chance the draw does spike to some whatever number, right? Because yes, you are right. In general, power or parts don't draw too much power. If you stick a watt meter to any computer, it's going to read way lower of an amount than what the typical power supply in that computer is going to be. But a lot of people like to buy with headroom in mind, as well as have headroom for when there are, you know, surges in power draw. So PSUs are probably the most overhyped thing in gaming. Overhyped how? I think they didn't mean overhyped, but I think they might mean PSUs are one of the things that people oversize way too often because they are way too afraid than they need to be. And I see that all the time. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize that parts don't draw that much power, but people have been like programmed to believe you need a power supply that's like 150 to 200% of what your actual use case is. And I think you can cut it a little bit closer than that. I think there should be some headroom. I don't think you should run 550 exactly on 550, but like I think baking in like 20% to, you know, I think that's reasonable, especially if a lot of people, they don't even upgrade components like that. A lot of people just end up rebuilding a whole new computer. So many times people buy their PC hardware to build with upgradability in mind, but then after 3 or 4 years, they just sell off the system and rebuild a new one because they enjoy building PCs. So that's why, like, in terms of upgradability, I'm not going to spend a premium or a fortune on having that as a feature. But if it's a little bit cheaper, then yeah, I'll consider the upgradability aspect of it. But I'm not going to pay like 50% more on a build just to get, you know, the top of the line motherboard that I think I'm going to keep the next time I do an upgrade type thing. I don't think it's worth it. Taint Smear. That name. Main PC has 106 or 1600 watt Seasonic. It is hard. Wait, which ones are showing up for 35 to 45 bucks? I love C tier power supplies. I have zero issues with C tier. Honestly, I think on a budget, I'll use a D tier. You know, if I'm doing like a $300 budget build, you don't have money for, sometimes you don't have money for C tier, and definitely don't have money for B or A tier. Sometimes you gotta stick a D tier in it, and I'm confident it's not gonna burn my house down. Again, we haven't talked about this in a while. Oh, which actually we should bring up the PSU tier list. Have you guys seen the SPL tier list? They have their own website now. It's like fancy. Like, it's not just some Excel spreadsheet anymore. It's an actual, like, you know, it's got a UI and stuff. But with regards to the tier list, I think people are way too afraid of a power supply below B tier or C tier. It's like, if this was the, you know how many people make uninformed decisions and buy bad power supplies all around the world constantly till this day? You know how many millions, if not potentially, maybe not billions, but like hundreds of millions of D and below tier power supplies are out there? Is the world catching on fire? Are we constantly seeing PC catches on fires, like news stories all around and Reddit posts and stuff? You don't, because I think people over sensationalize, or they over glorify what happens if you use a bad power supply. It's not that bad. Most of the time, it might damage your component, but even then, I haven't seen the numbers to say that, oh, a D tier power supply is statistically this much % more to damage your components when it fails compared to a B or A tier. Because I don't think that data exists. D tier PSU in Vietnam. Hello, Quack Bin Fam. D tier PSU in Vietnam is VSP. Every shop sells it and every user hates it. But then they use it and they're, for the most part, fine. Yeah, you gotta think. Not everybody lives in the cushy, first world developed country. In a lot of second and third world countries, people are using whatever they can use. And they're using these E, F, D tier power supplies. I'm not against using the tier list, and I'm not against upper tier power supplies, but like, for me, anything C and above can handle pretty much any component, any parts. Just because a power supply is C tier, as long as it's sized correctly, do people seriously think a C tier power supply is going to destroy a $2,000 system? I never buy a PSU under 1000 watts, and it has to be 80 plus titanium or platinum only if I am building a low power spec PC with like a 9060 or 5060, and it has to be 80 plus gold. You have some pretty high standards there. I think also, I don't know, it might come with experience too, and maybe like the Toasty Bros could speak on this, because I think they use C tier power supplies in a lot of their builds. But like, the more builds you do and like the more you put out in the world, like, I think your comfortability with using not the top tier power supplies, it starts to open up a bit more, right? I've used, like, before the tier list was a thing or popular, I used to use whatever power supply I could find at the right price. And even then, I've never had a power supply burn my house down. And even then, I'm trying to think, I don't think I've ever had a power supply kill an entire system or even individual components. The only time I killed a component because I did something stupid and I plugged something in that was not the right connector, and it shot some power into the motherboard and blew up. But that was my own fault. It wasn't the fault of an potentially F tier power supply. So here's a challenge for some of you guys out there that are only like A tier power supply purists. Just go and pick up a C tier power supply, throw it in your system, and use it for as long as possible. See what happens. You posted a $38 650 watt. I might need to pick that up. Let me see. Stream submissions. Rosewood. Oh, I have these ones. Okay. Yeah. I think this one is a it's not a like true C tier, right? Isn't it a, what's it called? Like, they're not basing it on the testing done on it. I forgot what was the, let me see what the tier list says. They have a word for it. Construction. It's like temporarily a C tier, or cautiously a C tier or whatever. SPL tier list spreadsheet. Oh, here it is. Okay, let me see. What is the tiering criteria? Other designations, my tiering scale. What is the word they use for it? Usually they have the asterisk next to it. Oh yeah, prospective. That's what they use. If it's a prospective, um, unit or not, based on with limited confidence rating, because they didn't have an actual teardown and like the tests done. I think this one might be limited confidence if I remember. Because I bought multiple of these actually. Yeah, these are a really good price. I bought the modular one though, but yeah, I mean, dude, C tier 650 watt for less than $40. When you're on a budget, you got to make whatever you can afford work. I'm using a Corsair CX430 that predates 80 plus rating and it still tests good. We'll need to replace it with a fan soon, but it's literally just a standard 120 watt. Is that the green one, the green label, CX430? Yeah, I mean that we're talking about like over a decade old power supply. So so that's one thing, and it looks like you guys were talking about it in the chat. So when it comes to 80 plus efficiency, which I think a lot of people are trying to move away from, it's just what. Let me see if I can find the curve. What is the power that reaches the computer versus how much is required pull from the wall? So here it is, right? So the efficiency curve usually looks like this. At around 50 to 60% load, that's when, just for the most part, it's the most efficient. But these are the different certifications. So for bronze, what is it, like 80? Yeah, actually no. It starts at 80% efficiency, but you can look at the charts. Here it is. The efficiency in loading, right? So as you go up, like titanium, everything is above 90% efficiency, no matter what the load is, low or high or in the mid range. Platinum is also, I didn't know platinum I don't have this chart memorized, but gold is 87, 90, 87. So, you know, it's just a loss, how much loss of energy there is. But a lot of people apparently still confuse this for quality. This has nothing to do with the quality of the power supply. You could have an 80 plus gold power supply that could be a fire risk of killing your computer or burning your house down. But I will say, generally, when you start reaching platinum to titanium efficient power supplies, usually they are higher quality internal components. Thus, they are higher tier and like less, you know, in the tier list, they'll likely be A or B tier. I'm sure there's some C tier or below titanium or platinum, but for the most part, when you see the higher up you go in the efficiency, usually the higher quality the power supply is. Keyword usually. But yeah, so don't get them confused. There is a new, what is replacing the 80 plus? I've already forgotten it. It's Aris. He has his company, Hardware Busters Aris. What is his website? It's the new, I think they're gonna take over and be Cybernetics. There it is. I haven't looked at Cybernetics in a while. That's why I forgot. Cybernetics Labs. They've got their own efficiency and noise level certifications. And I've seen power supply manufacturers put Cybernetics ratings or ratings similar to the 80 plus onto power supply boxes. So I think Cybernetics is the way of the future. And eventually, I don't know if 80 plus will ever completely be dropped, but Cybernetics is what people who are more like enthusiasts and stuff are probably going to be looking towards. Plus, they have all their databases, like all their information is just readily available. You can look up like different power supplies and you can pull up the freaking like write-up on it. Like they have all this, the testing, performance summaries and stuff like that. It's crazy how they just have this publicly available. Like, so appreciative for this with internal shots of it, like the layout and components. Anyways, all right. It's 15 over or 15 past. I gotta go in like 1 minute. So let me read The chat last. Yep, it's what I mean. Seasonic 1000 watt 80 plus titanium is 94 efficient. They also use higher end components like Japanese capacitor, etc. Yeah. Your average PC user will not make the money back in energy savings. Yeah. You should look up what power costs in your area, and then you do the calculation yourself. If you left your computer on 24/7 for 1 year straight, between having like 85% to 90% efficiency, see what the difference is. It's gonna be like almost negligible. Unless you live in an area like in some parts of Europe, or I don't know, in some parts of the country how expensive electricity can get. Some areas of the world, electricity is like 3 to 4 times, you know, the average or whatever. Those places, yeah, your PSU efficiency will matter, but like I would say pretty confidently in the US, it's not going to make that big of a difference in your yearly bill. I have a VTrue PSU. I didn't even know VTrue made PSUs. It was for 5070 and Ultra 270 plus. VTrue, the company that came out with out of nowhere really good cheap coolers. But then again, all these companies just slap their labels onto PSUs, so it's not like they're making it themselves. So any company, even a not well-known one, could go and take whatever, you know, whatever platform or whatever model that some company makes for multiple companies to slap their own brand on it. Did Ruby, what is Ruby efficiency? It's an ultra high certification. Ruby PSU target audience. Higher end models such as 5500 watt servers. Yeah, Ruby, was that ever supposed to be a consumer grade? Yeah, no problem, Jonovic. Thank you everyone for hanging out with each other this entire 2 hour and 15-minute stream. Oh, awesome. Okay, do they need to use the OBD scanner? Okay. I think both will be on PSUs now. It's nice to have more than one certs. I agree. Okay. I got a phone call I gotta pick up. So that's gonna be it for stream. So yeah, you guys, thank you for a fun stream as always. What the hell were we talking about tonight, guys? What was that? We can't do that again. that was a little bit too weird. That was like probably one of the weirdest topics we've ever talked about in stream. So yeah, there's a video coming up this weekend, some more short form content, and I was unfortunately not able to be in the Discord server that much last week. I'll try to be better this week. So yeah, but some of us the rest of the people in chat are in the Discord. So if you need a place to hang out, talk about tech and stuff, you can find me and others there. But you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy your weekend coming up. And yeah, I will see you same time, same day, same place next week for stream. Bye-bye.